Have you seen this man? Is he stalking your children? Ha! No, that's Javier. I'm Jeff Bunchu, Gunlock Bunchu Winery. Welcome to this video installment of our bulletin. Javier here, I'm not going to show you him again. He's not a lunatic. Well, he's kind of a lunatic, but he's not in your neighborhood. He's in ours. That shined, shaved head is indicative of the fact that we're 2 weeks away here as we film this from harvest at Gunlock Bunchu. Our vineyards are ripening, veration's almost done. We're doing all sorts of stuff out there that's the calm before the storm, essentially. Excuse me, that's Javier calling, as a matter of fact. I'm going to turn him off. Other things happening at the winery. We had 300 people watching the Breakfast Club last week, and I wasn't even here. I was on my bike in the northern part of the state, but 300 people coming out to shake at their tail feather 2 days before John Hughes died. Who knew? I put a little nice thing on my Twitter site. Those of you who are twit people, a nice little homage to John Hughes that some woman wrote. So check that out. Okay, today we're going to talk about primarily the fact that we got awarded from our local government here a Green Business Certificate, which is a reflection of our efforts to make the world a better place. And in a second, I'm going to bring Chris Holman in, our operations director, who facilitated getting that prestigious certification, and he's going to explain a little bit about it. We also have a couple releases to talk about before we get to that. First and foremost, our Pinot Noir. I say first just because that's what I would drink first before I got to the Cabernet. The Pinot is 2006. It's 70% new clone for us, which is a pretty big deal. Historically, our Pinot, those of you who are just wedded to it, who have tattoos of our Pinot label on your shoulders, know this, that it's a blend of 35-year-old clones, old imported clones, combined with brand new, lesser 10, 15-year-old vines. And we always created a balance of richness and delicacy. Well, this 06 release is a little more on the richness and intensity, a little less on the delicacy. Great, great wine, I can say so with experience, because I drank a lot of it every night on vacation before I opened the 2006 Cabernet, which is what the next thing is we released. Always brawny, our Cabernet is. Those of you who drink wines from the northern reaches of Sonoma and Napa are used to big, jammy, rich things. This is much more old world, earthy, very meaty, lots of peat moss. How about that? But the problem is that it's young, so it's teeth staining, and that's not really a problem. But just know that it's gonna knock you with a punch at this early stage of its life. Very yummy. Programming. You know how many people are talking to you about programming? I know everyone else is doing it. The difference is that our prices were already pretty good, considering they're single vineyard wines, single vineyard grown, incredibly yummy. They were already a value, and now they're even more of a value. So you're going to hear about these programs. At least you'd better. But if by chance you don't, please go to your manager and ask. Ask about how good that Pinot is and what the price is, because that'll be a sleeper in your book. Couple that with the price on the Gewürztraminer, the Cuvée, even the Cabernet, you're going to find that you've got a quiver of Gunlock Bunchu wines to go out and shake a tail feather with. No pun intended. But we're really here to talk about this piece of paper. We got a Green Business Certification. Now, we're in Northern California. You guys have all been here, most of you. You know that there aren't many higher standards in terms of green living than Northern California and its finest. I'm going to put that down. It's just a white piece of paper. But what it did tell us is that we have been successful in leveraging our green practice across our whole business. But the we is not really a royal we. It's kind of a royal on Chris we, because he's the guy who put it all together. Chris Holman is our Director of Operations, and he's our guest today. Chris,
Jeff,
welcome.
how are you?
Say hello to the masses.
Howdy, everyone. How are you? Good. So, yeah, to talk a little bit about this green certification we got. It took about a year and a half to do, and there's four main criteria that need to be met. One's water conservation, energy conservation, solid waste reduction and recycling, and pollution prevention. And under those four headings, there's many criteria, strict criteria that need to be met. And so a lot of these government agencies will come in and they'll audit you. And so they'll come in, do an audit, and make sure that you're doing this massive list that they require you to do. They'll coach you and help you through the process and make sure that the things that you aren't doing correctly that need to fall under these guidelines you do. So over about a year's period, we've jumped right in, got this certification done. The nice thing about it is that we found that when we met with all these agencies and they came in and audited us, we were already doing about 65% of these things. So whereas a lot of companies, don't do as much.
Starting from scratch.
Yeah, starting from scratch. So we're very proud of what we do. It's something that goes along with our sustainable farming in the vineyards, and so we just felt it's part of us, and we need to do this in the production and environment and also the operation side. So we've jumped on, this thing full board, and we're proud of the certificate. We've recycled, and composted everything. We take our food products from our events, and we take those and compost them. We take our paper towels and compost. We've required all of our shipping companies to come up with new ways of producing packaging materials in corrugated, so that we're not using styrofoam. We've had a thorn in our side with our 12-pack shipper. No one could come up with a corrugated shipper for it. It was always styrofoam. It was the only way to go. And so we put one of our big companies, Unisource, to the test, and they actually produced a 12-bottle stand-up carrier in corrugated, which is great because now we're 100% corrugated, no styrofoam. So overall program's been great. Our wastewater ponds, that whole process, we reuse 70% of our water. We put it back into the vineyards, and so our solar projects, we're just driving that green, certificate. We're just taking this thing to the nth degree, because I think from my standpoint and your standpoint and the family standpoint, it's something that we feel we need to do, and it's part of what we should be doing. So we ask that you guys follow in our footsteps and do everything you can in your business as well.
That's right. That means no half bottles. Drink it all down. Don't waste a drop.
Found it.
Anyway, thanks, Chris. But green, green is special, that kind of green, but it's the other green that we need to worry about in this environment, the kind that comes, at least electronically through the Ethernet to your bank account after you sell enough Gunlock Bunchu wine. This is the pre-thank you. There are very few, if any. There are none. What are we talking about? I know it. There are no 151-year-old single-family wineries in existence in California. But it really is a selling point. Couple that with the quality of the wines, the efforts we put in our vineyards to make those wines good, the effort that we put into our own environment to make sure that it's sustainable and repeatable, and most importantly, as much fun as we have out here. It's up to you to just kind of take a little bit of that, use that as a leverage to go out and succeed on our behalf. And for that, not only am I grateful, Chris is grateful, everybody here is grateful. And we hope and wish you the very best of the fall selling season. And until next time, be good.